let's talk about excuses to carry on drinking. I'm talking about those thoughts that just kind of pop up in your head and feel so true. Excuses are just sentences running around in your brain that make you feel justified to go and drink or put alcohol-free living on the back burner for a while. But here's the truth. Excuses offer short-term relief in exchange for long-term pain. You get the short-term relief of saying yes to that urge to drink and staying in your comfort zone, but then you've got the long-term discomfort of being hungover, feeling bad, worrying about your drinking, and all the other unpleasant stuff that has led to you watching this video right now. If you want to quit drinking, you've got to be willing to spot those excuses. You've got to be willing to choose short-term discomfort so you can get that long-term comfort that you deserve, that well-being and satisfaction in your life. You're choosing to say no to a drink and break a pattern of behavior because the long-term gains are so worth it, and they really are. And I should say, having excuses is totally normal. When you take alcohol out of the picture, that process of removing it even, naturally triggers a lot of stuff, including your excuses. Things like, well, work's just so busy, I've got that holiday, this just isn't the right time, I deserve a drink because I've been so good, or, I've got that event coming up. Here's what I invite you to do today. Have a think about your top excuse for not being sober, for not taking action, for not taking a break from drinking. What is the go-to thought that comes up a lot for you? And then, well, I just want you to be curious first of all. Don't be defensive or beat yourself up. You just want to come at this with some understanding. Because a lot of the time, all that's happening here is your brain is trying to keep you safe. Your brain doesn't like doing new things or venturing into the unknown or handling uncertainty because that seems scary, that seems unsafe. So it would much rather that you carry on doing the things that you've done so many times before, even if those things, like drinking, are actually harming you. So have some compassion for yourself. You can say, okay, I see you, brain. You are trying to protect me from something here, but you're wrong. Or you can say to yourself, you know what, perhaps I've just thought this excuse for a long time, so it's well practiced. Or perhaps this is what I've learned from other people. Bring in that curiosity and compassion first of all. Then, the next step is to ask, what is also true here? So we want to turn up the volume on the other side of the story, because an excuse is only ever one side of the story. And excuses always make so much sense until you actually stop and think them through. When you take an excuse and you scrutinize it, you examine it, you can always come up with more ways to think about things that feel just as believable. So please, don't have any more one-sided inner conversations that just keep you drinking. So let's do an example of this. I think a common excuse I hear might be, work is really stressful at the moment and I don't really have time to focus on being sober or to learn how to handle this any other way right now. I'm busy. That is one that used to come up for me as well a lot. But guess what? It is only one side of the story. So let's think about what else do we know is also true here. Well, it's also true to say that drinking takes up quite a bit of time, both in the moment and in the recovery from it afterwards. It is also true to say that working on your sobriety doesn't have to take very long. I mean, on my Getting Unstuck course, the lessons take just 15 minutes a day. It's also true to say that drinking is a stressful hobby, because if you're an alcohol user, then you are going to accidentally create more problems for yourself whilst you are under the influence of the drug. That isn't a personal failing, that is just fact, it's just what tends to happen. What else? It's also true to say that drinking interferes with your sleep, and therefore it does actually reduce your ability to manage stress the next day, because you're going to be tired and you're going to be feeling like crap. It's also true to say that there are other ways to care for yourself. I mean, think about it. How do we expect stressed out kids or teenagers to manage stress? We don't let them drink. It's also true to say that there are sober people out there in the world with really stressful lives and very demanding jobs. So there must be a way to juggle a stressful job with not drinking at the same time. Do you see where I'm going with this? There are literally so many other things that I could mention here on this one topic of stress and work. Because once we start really thinking about this excuse that, you know, I don't have time to focus on sobriety because work is busy, well, you can see it doesn't make a huge amount of sense, not really. So what I want you to do now is to take your top excuse for drinking, write it in the comments below, and then write down what is also true. So imagine that your excuse is over here, pitching one side of the argument, and I have now asked you to do something that you perhaps don't do very often, which is to make the case for the other side of the story. At the end of the day, if you're going to delay working on something as amazing and empowering as alcohol-free living, then you want to be sure as hell that you like your reasons and you've got a solid reason for doing that. So please don't get sucked into one side of the story, and that's really what excuses are. So, I'm Kate B. Go ahead and let me know in the comments, what is your main excuse for continuing to drink, and what else might also be true?